we're good. Hi. Just making sure everything connected. Everything was making sense. What the hell is this? What is this thing on my desk? What is this thing? Oh, is this like a... Is this like a little rubber stopper thing that... Yeah, came off my keyboard. That sucks. Go back there. It's gonna be an issue now, isn't it? Fuck. Hello everyone, I'm Warren. Welcome to the Thursday night stream on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. It is a pleasure to be online today. Come and chit chat about all sorts of great nifty things happening in the wacky world of professional wrestling. Got to there exciting stuff happening, exciting stuff I hope to come, and you know, sort of you know, with a drizzle of nonsense throughout. Hope everyone had a good past couple of days. Hope you've all been staying hydrated. Hope you're all doing well. You know, the hydration part is very important. Yeah, I don't know what I got. I'm trying, like I'm here and I'm spinning in my brain, going, okay, what could we chit chat about? What are the little things we could chit chat about before starting? And I'm at a loss. I'm like, what is there to chit chat about? What should we? What is going on? You know, that doesn't involve, like, you know, I don't know. Just looking at some topics, I think there's literally nothing. Like, there's nothing really interesting going on, I don't think. Oh no, we're going to talk about wrestling, of course, trust me. But, you know, I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. X-Men 97. You know what? I haven't watched season 2, and I probably won't be watching season 2 for a while, because you know, I'm on and off when it comes to Disney Plus. Yeah, I will subscribe to Disney Plus for certain shows, and then I will pull the plug. And it has to be like things that, like the Daredevil show, like that's one that gets me jumped right back in. And as much as I enjoyed X-Men 97 season 1, I'm not feeling super compelled that, oh, I'm gonna renew my subscription just to watch season 2. I'm like, up, you know, type of thing. I heard it's tremendous though. I heard it's very, very good. But, you know, I'll probably be, you know what, I'm probably, look, I re-upped my subscription to watch the Muppet Show reboot, which I thought was outstanding. And I also got involved in the, but I'm also, I should say, I'm also waiting for the Ryan Coogler X-Files reboot. You know, you may not know this about me, but I was an extremely passionate X-Files fan all the way back there in the 1990s. I would record X-Files episodes on VHS. Like, I had and I probably still have that box around here somewhere of VHS tapes with back-to-back episodes of the X-Files. And I had X-Files box sets, all in VHS. I had a whole bunch of those. And you know, I'd go on my computer, and then I'd make like labels for the X-Files episodes. But then I'd pick like a spooky font, right? Say I'd put all a bunch of episodes, you know, print them out all at once on a file, right? On a piece of paper, and then I'd cut them out like in uneven, rickety, in uneven rickety ways, you know, where it looks very grunge, you know, and then I just tape them onto the cassette tape, so that I'd know, of course, which episodes were on what. But I'd put effort into it. I played the X-Files collectible card game. That's how much I was into this shit. I was I was a very active member. I wouldn't say prominent, but a very active member of the X-Files discussion forums on the old Fox.com website. You'd go there and you'd have we had a little community there. Look, so the X-Files hold a very close place in my heart, and I'm excited, very excited to see what Ryan Coogler is going to do with them, because that kind of rocks. That kind of rocks. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do. So yeah, there's a topic for you. There's a topic for you right there. Warren watched the X-Force 97 opening titles. They redid them for X-Force. So that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I love the X-Files, Xena Warrior Princess, and Star Trek Voyager. I love TNG, and I really like Deep Space Nine, and I feel Deep Space Nine is strangely maligned. I don't know why we don't talk, unless there's something that I don't know, where there's like, oh, this one actor was a horrible person and he's canceled, which I wouldn't be aware of. But I feel like Deep Space Nine doesn't get the love that it should get. I love Deep Space Nine. And yeah, Xena was tremendous. Those were good shows, man. Those are really good. David Duchovny is actually quite smart. He got to the $1 million question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and missed it. He also named his kid. Is that part of the reason why he's smart? David Duchovny is a lot of things anyway. I'll tell you one thing. Anyway. Moving on. Really very quickly. Let's say hello, Silver Apocalypse. There's Silver Star Simtar. It's gonna take some time to get used to that one. Nice to see you. Welcome. Also happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Mr. Iron Talks, nice to see you too. And as is Sports and Things shows. Our boy Carlos. Miggy O'Kenad is very nice to see you, brother. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to being a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel as well. Rory Starks, also very nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Quark's racist tweets. Wait, what? I'm not aware of this. Twitter wasn't around in the day. Like, this is... That's a parody account, right? That has to be a parody account, right? I have never heard of Quark's racist tweets. Although I buy that he was, that, like it's plausible that he would. Just joking. But admittedly, that would be a very funny Twitter account. Like being Quark being racist to the Star Wars races. It's like that actually would be very funny. Yeah, we've got ourselves a nice show tonight. A nice little easy breezy, living greasy type of show. This evening, I got a nice stream planned out where we are going to we'll talk some fallout from last night's big AEW beach break, and we're gonna do a bit of that. We're gonna do a bit of a little bit of G1. We're actually going to do a lot of G1 previewing tonight. The G1 starts this weekend in Illinois, in Chicago, or at least close to Chicago. So that's happening this weekend. There's a bit of, there are a few bits and bobs of news and whatnot. So we'll get around to all of this stuff. But other than, before we do that, as you probably already know, since many of you are regulars and are subscribers, members of the channel here, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show AEW Dynamite review was released earlier today for the beach break. So if you want all my full thoughts, my full, deep, profound thoughts on all the haps of the show, that's where you want to go. We're gonna, we'll talk about the fallout and whatnot tonight. But if you want all my deep thoughts, you should go there. And look, I've said it before, and I said it recently. I've started saying it recently. You know why? Okay, I've started saying recently that I do the absolute best in-depth weekly Dynamite review. I believe that with sincerity, because I have recently started to consume a few more. I've started to listen to a few more people who or read also, reviews. People who are like, we are reviewing this week's episode of Dynamite, and I got to tell you, and yes, I'm patting myself on the back. It's not exactly, the greatest example of humility that I will ever exhibit here, but there's a lot of people who can't lace my boots. I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying there's a substantial amount of people who say that they review AEW Dynamite, and I'm like, this isn't quite a review. A lot of times it's just listing moves. Well, what did you think of the match? Well, I think the match was pretty good. All right, let's move on. And there's, sometimes there's two of them. Sometimes there's three. And I'm like, how are you not getting any more juice out of reviewing a show? And there's more than one of you. I am solo. I fly solo. I do this alone. And where am I going with this exactly? Today, I think I have done one of my absolute best Dynamite reviews. Today. Someone in the podcasting world would say, if they were talking about their own podcast, they would say that they just completed some championship audio. That's what I feel like I did today. I think my review of AEW Dynamite today was peerless. How about that? I think it's one of the best reviews I've ever done. Whenever you get a chance, I highly suggest you check it out because it's really good. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it was a good juicy episode to review as well. There was a lot to break down and talk about. Kenny winning and everything else happening on the show. The international championship title change, the gauntlet match. There was a lot to talk about. And I am very confident that today is, at the very least, look, you can agree or disagree as to whether or not I do the best weekly AEW Dynamite review. That's fine. We, reasonable minds, etc., etc. But I think today, objectively, I did outstanding work. That's what I think. So you should check that out. It's available, of course, on the YouTube channel and also on your favorite podcast application. And the Mr. Warren Hayes show as well was released earlier this week on Wednesday. Although available now exclusively on podcast applications, no longer on the Mr. Warren Hayes show proper. Now on the channel, we're splitting up the streams. We're creating little videos, trying to get that algorithm to work my way. Still doing some shorts. Maggie O'Connell will be proud of me, even though I fucking hate it. I just cannot. I hate doing the shorts. Anyway, you got to do them. Apparently, they're important to the everything. So it's fine. We'll go ahead and do it, and that'll be that. I think that's those are the. Oh, and I was on this week's episode of Music of the Mat Remixed with Andrew Rich over there on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, where he spent a couple of hours talking about music, specifically about playing songs and talking about bands that have family members within said band. Siblings, cousins, father, mother, children, wed individuals as well, couples. We went across the whole gamut, and it's always a good time. So you should check that out as well whenever you have a time over the next couple of days, tomorrow, over the weekend, doing chores and whatnot. It's a good listen. Listen to some good music, and it's a good time. Just as simple as that. Kristen Ashley, nice to see you, darling. Welcome to the chat. Kristen also happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Vavavoom. Here's one we don't hear all that much anymore. Vavavoom. We should consider bringing that back. Consider. I'm not saying we should. I'm saying we should consider. So that's the long and short of it, folks. That's the long and short of it. As far as things that I am up to. Oh, well, I mean, I guess I should mention. Because I was thinking of mentioning it later, but I might as well. You got to spread the good word. This weekend, your boy Warren is starting the daily G1 Climax coverage. We're doing this. We're back doing this year again. I didn't do it last year because I was traveling, but this year we're back in the saddle. Since the G1 is starting this weekend on the 11th, well, I'm going to be firing up the old New Japan World, and we'll be doing some daily coverage of the G1. Starts this weekend. I'm looking forward to doing it. I always go in with the best of intentions, with motivated. I'm ready to go, and then somehow like the G1 is just like. But I want to be as optimistic as possible. But that's also starting this weekend. So look, if you're just hanging around here and you're your first time here, consider subscribing. That way you won't miss a thing. You won't, I don't think there's not going to be many websites, not many websites out there that are going to do daily G1 coverage. And I'm talking coverage. Joe Lanza is going to do his, right? And Joe is great at it. There's no doubt about it. Like Joe, and he's been doing it for a decade or so at this point. So he's fantastic. So, his is going to be great, but it's also paywalled. Just putting that out there. Mine isn't. There's also reasons for that. Don't get me wrong. But you're going to have that. Maybe Post is going to do, I don't know if they're going to do daily coverage. But most of the websites, what they're going to do? They're just going to post results. Even on the Observer website, and it's all going to be just results. No analysis, no breaking things down. Just like, here are the results. So-and-so defeated so-and-so, and then their points total. It's like, you want a little more than that. You want a little more meat on the bone. You want to get into it. It's the G1. It's the biggest wrestling tournament of the year. You want to get some meat. Tell me about the wrestlers. How are things going? Was there a good match? Do you have anything to recommend? What was shit? Why? Tell us why Jake Lee shouldn't be in this promotion, etc., etc. That's what you're going to get with me. That starts this weekend, and then there's a whole week break because then everyone flies back to Japan over the course of the week, and then the G1 the G1 then picks up again in Japan next weekend. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, we can't compare Jake Lee to Saggy because at least Saggy is fun. We like, that's something we just cannot do. It's wrong. It's morally wrong. All right, folks, let's get things started. Let's get things cooking. Let's get this Thursday night flying.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jacques Moliere. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a nunchuck master, and I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Hoo-yah! There's Patrick, right there. Member of the channel. How you doing, Patrick? Welcome. JD, it's nice to see you too. Welcome to the chat. All right. Thank you for all of that. Alex Jones is dead. He's not really. Sad that Sammy didn't get a longer run with the title like Kofi and Big E got, despite their reigns being lackluster. CM Hogan had to show up. The whole look, it's funny because we were talking about this on Monday, right? We were talking, or were we talking? Hang on, let me think. Because it happened on Monday while we were on stream, I believe, right? Anyway, like the thing is that regardless of it all, regardless of how you personally feel about whether Sammy was screwed or not, the reality is this. Sammy, the Sammy getting the WWE undisputed championship is like, it's like 4 years too late. Like, it's 4 years too late. They had a perfect window to do it when he was, on the outs of the bloodline with Roman Reigns, and he was, hitting his peaks of popularity. That match at the Elimination Chamber in Montreal a couple of years ago. That's when they should have pulled the trigger. That was the moment. Whatever they did here, it was of no consequence. And from what I understand, WWE fans had already kind of turned on him. They already considered him to be like annoying. Like, no one was really excited for a Sami Zayn reign to begin with. No, I remember. No, we did. See, now I remember. I did talk about this on stream on Monday, but then later on in the evening, after we had ended the stream, Sami loses the title. So the point, I guess the point to add here is, regardless of how you feel about it, regardless of how you feel whether Sammy deserved it or not, or whatever, this continues to prove that this company has no idea how to properly tell stories or to keep its audience engaged. Like, you're just constantly throwing things around, right? Like, obviously the plan was to get the belt back on CM Punk so that they could do Punk versus Cody at SummerSlam. And why do you think they did that? Well, because they have no faith in Sami Zayn being a draw. They have no faith in Sami being a guy that could come in and and take a top spot and wrestle another top guy, and that it'll generate interest and buzz and people will buy tickets to see it. I mean, there's none of this is a reflection necessarily on Sami. This is all a reflection on how WWE does its thing, like how they perceive Sami. So should they have given him a world championship in the first place? No. If you don't have confidence in your guy like that, and if you're not going to do anything interesting with them, well, then tell them to hit the bricks. If they wanted to do something experimental, if they wanted to try something out with Sami, that would have been cool. I actually kind of thought, I was warming up. You know what my commentary was warming up to be like, oh, see, they're doing, what WWE is doing is they're doing a Darby Allin, right? I was expecting them to sort of emulate AEW's formula that they did with Darby Allin. A guy that has a grassroots following in the company that is popular, that people do like, but that people don't necessarily see as a world champion, wins the title. And then they replicate what they did, what AEW did with Darby. Excuse me. They replicate what they did with Darby, and they have Sami go on this tear where he's defending week after week. And I was like, oh, they'll probably do something like that. And that, it'll be cool for Sami. It might be a little unoriginal and redundant, but at least it'll be something different. It'll be something experimental. That's where my commentary was ready to go. I was just going to give them some time, but I had this, set up. It was ready, loaded, locked and loaded in the chamber, as the gun aficionados say. But none of that is going to happen now. None of that is going to happen. Now now that, the rumor out there, the rumor is stronger than ever that Sami Zayn is the guy who took the 50% pay cut because Kevin Nash and his co-host, Sean Oliver, might have both just slipped up and, revealed that was the guy. I mean, it makes it all the more pathetic. Oh, well, here, you can take a pay cut, but we'll give you a world championship. You'll be able to call yourself world champion moving forward. Thank you for everything, Sami. Thank you for taking a 50% pay cut. Here's your world title. I mean, there's no other way to frame it. Now, there's no other way to frame it because the bigger star came in and they were like, all right, we're going to give the belt to the bigger star. I mean, it kind of sucks that they didn't give Sami a single other defense other than the night that he lost it. But this is the company that tells all these great stories, right? This is the company that tells all these great stories, but they're just winging it. They've been winging it for a while. This thing and the Obafemi thing, and it's all garbage. It's all junk. None of it matters. That's the thing. So I find it hard to feel bad for Sami. This is the other thing too. It's like, I feel bad for Sami. Why? Why? We're not in 2015 anymore, where wrestlers don't have any other outlets to go out and make serious money than go to WWE and then have to bend over backwards to make WWE happy. Sami is clearly content with what's going on because he had an opportunity to, he's had opportunities to leave the company and he hasn't. Maybe he had the opportunity with the 50% pay cut and he didn't take it. He's completely fine there. I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for anyone who sits around and absorbs this terrible creative and continues to work at that place. it's like my new position. My new position when it comes to, it's like my new position, right? When it comes to a lot of things that happen in wrestling, I am not going to care more than the people who are involved. I'm done doing that. I'm done trying to moralize or to feel like I need to that we need to change their mind and so on and so forth. Have that mentality of, you know, I have that what they're doing is wrong and they should be respecting themselves more. And it's like, no, I'm done. If Sami Zayn is happy hanging out in WWE, I'm not feeling bad for him. I'm done feeling bad for him. If he's fed up, he can do like Tommaso Ciampa. He can do like the New Day. He can do like Sheamus. He can hit the bricks. The Hurt Syndicate, we forget sometimes about the Hurt Syndicate, but that is also, you know, the same type of scenario. It's like, no, you know what? Fuck this place. We're good. We're not going to stand for this shit anymore. And if you just sit there and you scoop it all up and you continue down that path, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to try and care more than you do. If you don't care about what's going on, cool. Thank you. Thank you for telling me how I should feel. Obafemi will be over in spite of the company. Look at how they cooled Braun Breaker's jets. The Braun Breaker stuff is absolutely bonkers. I do not understand this. That guy was another sure thing. That guy, Braun Breaker, is one of these rare instances of a guy in NXT who floundered, who didn't work out, and who looked like he was falling apart at the seams, gets called up, and the minute he gets called up, it's like, oh, this kid is great. This kid is absolutely tremendous. And for some reason, like I said, they had to cool him off. I couldn't tell you why. Is he a tag champion with Austin Theory? That is very sad. That is very, very sad. I don't want to see the same three guys or gals win the title all the time, so that is boring. I agree. Stop watching. That's what I did. Just stop watching. That's probably the best way to not see the same three guys or so. You know, the passing the buck between Cody and CM Punk and Roman, maybe Seth. Maybe Seth, if Paul is in a good mood, if Ari doesn't call Seth to say, if Ari doesn't call Paul to say, hey, why are you pushing this guy, right? See, I'm glad you did. It is so liberating to not watch WWE. It is so, I highly recommend it to for everyone's mental health. They beat the Street Profits on Monday with help from Maxine Dupree. Sounds like a really good show. Remember when Montez Ford was a thing? There's another guy that cooled down. It's all these buckets. I am convinced more than ever that a lot of these things are tied into the bucket system. I'm more convinced than ever. Anyway, that's just me. We all understand the bucket system, right? We all know what I'm talking about right now. Sometimes I feel like that one might be a little too niche. Because no one knew about the bucket system until Mansoor did a stream about it once he was fired from WWE and explained the bucket system, how it worked. And then recently, Jinder Mahal, Raj Deji, right? It's Deji, right? He did a little Instagram story, or a reel, I should say, where he broke it down. Where it's like this is how the bucket system works. Anyway, it's all fine. I love bucket system talk. How you doing, Mike McCullough? Great to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel, and such as and so is King of the North. Nice to see you, buddy. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. We're going to do another celebration with Kenny Omega. Anyway, look, that's all there is to it with WWE and Sami Zayn and all this nonsense. Besides, WWE is going to be fine with Kendall Gray, right? If you listen to Dave Meltzer, hey, folks, don't you worry about WWE. It's in good hands because Kendall Gray is here and she's going to save the company. Or so if you believe the way Dave Meltzer talks about it. He didn't say that specifically, but she's already better than she's the next Akira Hokuto. She's right up there. She's the living embodiment of Chikusa Nagayo, but Nagayo's still alive. You know what? But here's what I hate. I'm going to tell you what I hate. This is what I hate now. Now that Dave is going so ham on Kendall Gray, on this wrestler, now I feel compelled to watch what she does. This is because I don't know if you heard, but like he said that she had a match with Natalya on NXT this week, and he's singing its praises as he gave it 4.5 stars. He says he said it would be the best women's match of the year if it had been longer. I mean, okay. All right. Okay. That's a fucking bold statement. And now I listen to him and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to watch this match now. Because there's no way I'm sitting around listening to 2026 Dave Meltzer tell me about, talk to me about Kendall Gray like she's fucking Will Ospreay in 2017. There's no way I'm doing this without seeing it for myself. There's no way I'm just taking his word for it. So, Dave, thank you, Dave. I'm going to have to go watch now an NXT match that features Natty Neidhart. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Because I also think Natalya Neidhart is extremely overrated and people are really buying into her shooter gimmick. And they don't realize how much of a gimmick it is. But they're really buying into it. I can never take, I am sorry, folks, I cannot take Natty Neidhart seriously for the extent of her career, for the things that she's done to try and get herself over. This is someone whose gimmick was I fart. Okay? This was a clown show. This is a woman who, for the time that after things weren't working out so well for her on once Total Divas was done, she started spraying Cool Whip on her tits with her sister, putting that on YouTube. How can you take this person seriously? How can you turn around and say, "Oh yeah, absolute"? Is it suddenly because she's braiding her hair into cornrows and now she looks like she looks tough, and now suddenly I'm supposed to take her seriously? No, it's fucking Natalya Neidhart. She a running joke in professional wrestling, and whose wrestling ability, while she is a good little wrestler, don't get me wrong. I know I'm not going to sit here and tell you that she's a terrible wrestler. She's a good little wrestler, and her abilities are way overblown, If you are someone who only watches WWE, of course you look at her and you say, "Oh man, what? She's so talented. What a well-rounded professional. Look at all this great ground game you have." And you're like, let me introduce you to Iroha. Let me introduce you to Suri or Shuri or Utami Hayashishita or I'm drawing blanks, but the TJPW girls. I'm drawing blanks. Sorry. And then you'd be like, oh, this is what a violent wrestler looks like. Incredible. Where does Natalya rank if she got plopped down in Stardom? Where do you put her? You have her fight. Look, you put her in a match like with someone like Konami, right? And then Konami eats her for lunch. Is she better than Maki Ito? You're asking me if she's better than Maki Ito? It's not a fair question. Look, and let's be objective, okay? Maki Ito is much better in Stardom than she's been in a long time. So I don't know. Probably not. Maki Ito is far more over than Natalya, of course. Of course. They'll never give you match recommendations for Natalya? No, of course. Of course, because they can't think of one because she's never had great matches. Or if she has, we've already forgotten them because they were probably very forgettable. Anyway. What a diversion there. I'm going to have to keep up with this Kendall Gray stuff. I don't know. Maybe the match is really good. All I'm saying is that, you know, Dave has gone nuts with this girl. And the thing is that this can go two ways. Like if Dave oversells her too much, people are naturally going to turn on her, just like they did with Kenny Omega, just like they did with the Bucks, just like they did with Will Ospreay. There's going to be a huge contingent of people that are going to be like, oh, well, of course, Dave and Kendall Gray is going to give her 5 stars all the time because it's Kendall Gray. You know, it's going to be one of those. And he's entitled to go ham on pro wrestlers. Like, you know, that's his job too. People turn on Kazuchika Okada. Sure. Yes, that is true. Anyway. It's enough. That's enough talking about Kendall Gray here. I want to talk about last night. I want to talk about some just a little fallout of I want to talk a little bit fallout of the Beach Break show, which as I subtly remind you, although not that subtly, that I did review Beach Break earlier today on the AEW Dynamite review here on the channel, on the podcast. And yeah, well, of course, you know, the big news is Kenny Omega is a world champion again. First time he's a world champion in about 5 years. And that's crazy. That's wild when you think about it. You know, when it's kind of baffling. But you also understand, you know, there's been medical issues. There's, you know, it's not just because of disinterest or bad booking or whatnot. You know, there's multiple reasons. Incredible match. I've been subjected to incredible levels of nitpicking in this match. Like I mean incredible levels of nitpicking where people are just like focusing on well, essentially the finish, right? And in fairness, I broke that down and I tore it apart on my review today. The finish, specifically the ring stuff and the Kenny Omega, oh, I'm so violent type of thing, right? to give you the cliff notes, the ring thing with Will Ospreay coming to take the ring, I would have argued that was unnecessary, and Kenny Omega avoiding to swing the belt was ham-fisting a storyline that most of us were already understanding, that he wanted to win this world championship without resorting to Don Callis chicanery, heel tactics and whatnot. And, had he not done it and just won the match clean, that would have been the story nonetheless. You still would have had Excalibur at the end going, and he won without resorting to any nonsense, no outside help. He did what he wanted. Kenny Omega got his redemption. Like the commentary would have put the story over regardless. I thought it was a little insulting to my intelligence to do that. But it doesn't remove. It doesn't remove to me the idea of how great of a match this was, how excellent of a match it was, and seeing 2026 Kenny Omega and what he's capable of doing, right? We know he's not as crisp and swift and mobile as he used to be. We see it when he does the "you can't escape" spot, I should say. He always struggles a little bit. He pauses now after doing the roll through Death Valley Driver. That's not exactly it, but because usually back in the day he'd just do it, hop onto the ropes, and then do the moonsault. Now he pauses and then he does. Yeah, because it's it is what it is, and it's fine. It doesn't, but it's like it's the kind of thing where you're realizing that Kenny is relying less and less on his explosiveness, on that explosive agility that he has. He's still explosive. That's still his signature. These bursts of offense that make him so special, but they're different now. Now they come in the form of strikes, of well-placed attacks, as opposed to him, just like bouncing off of the ropes at breakneck speed. And he's not the same, and that's cool. And nonetheless, his matches are still pristine, and that's the mark of a truly great wrestler, in my opinion. Where the day your body starts telling you, well, you're not going to do this anymore, partner, you're able to adapt what you do and still create great moments and great matches like we got. So it's, and there's something very all is right with the world kind of thing with Kenny Omega being a world champion in a big time promotion as well. Because you could be world champion in TNA for what it's worth. But like there's something that feels good about this. Excuse me. In seeing Kenny back on top and having another run at the top of the promotion for as long as it's going to be, right? It kind of feels like AEW. It feels like this is how it's supposed to be, if that makes sense. I've got nothing but praise to shower to I've got nothing but shower to praise. Got nothing but praise to shower on the match, on the decision. I talk about it quite a bit on the review again. So, there's like, to me, one of the reasons that this worked so well is because of the level of unpredictability that exists in AEW around the world title. They've been doing this all year, and it has been so compelling and so good. Like the world title situation in AEW is not even comparable to what's going on in other promotions. It is exciting. It's unpredictable. It keeps you on your toes. It feels refreshing. There's people always coming from all sides, coming in for the challenge for the world title. People who are absolutely deserving. People where you're like, oh, this is interesting. You want a shot? Okay, we'll see what happens, type of thing. But it's been very, very compelling the entire year. And I think one of the reasons that this win is so remarkable is because of how special the title feels. It has legitimately been booked excellently. It has been tremendous the entire way. So I'm nothing but complimentary. And we're talking about Kenny and whatnot, but MJF, man, like, again, something I mentioned on the review. This, for all of the talk of MJF being this prick who's just looking out for himself, who just like constantly is working just to better his spot and whatnot. This guy is not afraid of showing massive ass when he loses. This guy is not afraid or worried about getting completely murked by his opponent when he loses. Look at how bad he lost to Kenny last night. Like 3 V-triggers and a one-winged angel. And then with Darby, he got squashed by Darby. Darby just ran through him like a locomotive. And somehow MJF is like this really terrible guy, who doesn't do things for others or whatnot, right? Oh, but Warren, don't you see? The first loss that Kenny took to him was to pad for this one coming up. I'm like, sure, of course. Yes. How is that a bad thing? Maybe they did plan, if they did plan this out like this, and the match at Dynasty where MJF went over Kenny was to sort of allow Kenny, say, okay, you can beat me for the title, Kenny, but I got to beat you before that. That's fine. Most of the time, a wrestler who loses will get his win back. It's pro wrestling. Swerve Strickland, excuse me, not Swerve, but Will Ospreay got his win back on Swerve Strickland this year after losing to Swerve last year so that he could go over and win the world championship for the first time. So now they do the full circle back and Swerve does the honors this time. Like, I don't understand how this is necessarily a problem. It's how pro wrestling has worked for eras. It's not necessary. It's not a bad thing. People getting their win backs, that kind of shit, like, it just happens. And somehow this is MJF politicking and, yeah, probably. And yes, I would agree. I would be forced to assume that Maxwell Jacob Friedman does a lot of politicking. But I would also argue that a lot of people in that same spot, or at the top of the card of AEW, I think a lot of those guys do a lot of politicking. I think all of them do. That would be my guess. Why wouldn't they? Everyone kind of wants to protect their spots. So of course, go ahead and do it. And they probably do it to different levels. And I'm sure that Max is very good at it. But a wrestler politicking, especially one in top levels of the company, doesn't surprise me. What do we think that that only Cody and Punk do some politicking in WWE? Let's not be fucking naive here. The thing is that, the politics thing always comes up. But the thing is, what a lot of fans don't want to grasp onto is that politicking is often seen as a negative. And most of the time, it does. Look, it does have that undercurrent of being a bad thing, of being negative, right? But a lot of wrestling fans online just don't want to hear that their favorites do it too. They do it to different degrees, but all these guys in these top spots, they're all wrangling to hang on to them. They're all doing their best. Just like the guys who are on the come up, they're probably doing a little politicking on their own themselves. You know, the Kyle Fletchers and the Kensuke Takeshita's and the Kevin Knights, and you think they're just sitting around waiting for their turn? Come on, again, don't be fucking naive. So for me, when it comes to MJF, like, you know, doing that, I don't see it as a problem. I really don't see it as a problem. I really don't. Anyway, what was my initial point? What was the initial, what were we talking about? No, yeah. The fact that MJF in this match, once again, just gave. He gave and he gave and he gave. And again, look, I'm not a fan of the finish. Not a fan of the finish. Because it ended up, look, I don't have a problem with MJF cheating or trying to cheat. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Will Ospreay running in to grab the ring. Kenny could have just ducked the punch, right? Kenny could have just not used the belt, right? And these are things that all would have made sense. It's just like, So I don't have a problem with MJF trying to cheat. It's part of his character. It's part of who he is. MJF is part of what makes MJF is that he thinks he's so much smarter than everyone else. But he's not that smart. He's not as smart as he likes to think he is. That's part of the MJF the wrestler type of guy. Because I would argue that MJF the guy has a very high wrestling IQ. He gets a lot of things, and he's a fan at heart too. A tremendous match. Now, where does this lead us moving forward now? Because we've got the Wembley Stadium main event set up, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. That's all set, but we have a pay-per-view coming up in a couple of weeks in Montreal called Redemption. By the way, this is probably one of the reasons they picked, a semi-lame name like Redemption for the pay-per-view. Redemption is spelled the exact same way in French. It's spelled the exact same way. And they went, with the logo and everything, they put the fleur-de-lis on it and whatnot. They went they use blue and white, which are the colors of the province of Quebec. So they went really, really hard on giving it, a very Quebec identity. And Redemption is Rédemption, so it might not be the sexiest, but it translates directly from one language to the other, and it means the same thing. So we have that pay-per-view coming up. It begs to wonder, so what are we going to do for what is that card going to look like? And I have a theory here, chat. I've got a little theory for the top two matches of the card. You want to hear them? Well, if you don't, log off. Don't log off. I think the main event is going to be Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. I think that they've established the relationship between Mox and Kenny, Mox and Will as being good. Right? I think that's what look, that's why they've been doing the tag team matches over the past couple of weeks. And, they wrestle well together. They do tandem moves. They've got chemistry. Things are going well between the two. But Kenny, from the start of the whole Will Ospreay being trained by the Death Riders type of thing, has been very, very outspoken towards Will, to telling him, hey, don't do this, pal. Because, you shouldn't trust them. I don't trust Jon Moxley. I don't trust the Death Riders, and neither should you. So the relationship is there. The relationship is there between Will and Jon, and Kenny is sort of like, yeah, I don't think this is a good thing. And I would see this relationship getting strained really, really fast between Kenny and Will because of Jon. And Kenny just going, why don't we settle this at Redemption, Jon? You've been a thorn in my side since day one of this fucking company. yeah, let's just circle back and why don't you come try for a shot at the gold type of thing, right? And you get Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in 2026, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm hyped for that. That's a great fucking main event. In the other match, you get MJF coming out on Dynamite, being really pissed off at Will Ospreay and saying, Will Ospreay, you son of a bitch, you cheated me out of my Wembley moment. Don't be a coward. Fight me at Revolution and put your shot at Wembley on the line. I think that's what they're going to do. Because that promo that they did yesterday, and the MJF Will Ospreay thing, that's signifying something. That is an element. That was such a good promo that it actually had me seriously doubt whether Kenny was going to win. Like, it established a solid doubt for me. That's how good of a fucking promo MJF delivered. Whereas okay, there's a, previously, let's say I was like, maybe Kenny has a 20% of losing. Kenny has a 20% chance of losing. Now maybe he has a 40% chance of losing. Like, I still felt like he was going to win, but I wasn't as confident. I wasn't as secure in my belief. So that confrontation that Max and Will had is going to have a payoff. And I don't think they're going to wait till Will wins the title so that MJF can challenge him back. You'll notice that Andrade is they're sort of parking him over here away from MJF and all of this stuff to go like where he's coming out to challenge the Don Callis family for titles, right? And he's gonna challenge Mark Davis for the lesser of the mid-card titles, which is bonkers to me. I don't understand why this guy who wanted a world title shot would suddenly be completely content with the brand new title, like the first rung mid-card title. Yeah, I'll challenge for that. I don't know why he'd do that. It doesn't make sense to me, but that was one of my critiques of last night. But the point is that they've moved Andrade away from the MJF world title sphere. So theories that we were going to get MJF and Andrade at Redemption don't seem very high now. They don't seem all that high. So I'm like, this is probably what they're going to do. And I think these two big matches are going to get announced on Wednesday this week because Redemption is like in 3 weeks. Ticket sales are not bad, but there's no card that's been announced. I'm waiting as well. I'll probably end up going, but that's because I'm a cheap bastard and I wait the last minute to buy tickets. That's just me. So I think that will be the scenario moving forward to lead us into Redemption. And chat pointed it out here. What does MJF do for All In then? That is another excellent question. And I think this is where you can revisit the Andrade stuff. I think this is where everything circles back to Andrade because Andrade is also like he wants to settle. Remember his t-shirt. Fuck Don Callis, fuck MJF. What he's doing right now is he's settling his business with the Don Callis family. And once he beats whoever he beats, at the pay-per-view in the DCF, he's going to come out of there and he's going to focus his attentions back on MJF, and MJF is going to be like, okay, asshole, you've annoyed me tremendously. I'm coming for you now. And I think that's going to lead to a little feud that might even extend into All Out. It won't be a one-off type of situation. I think does that all make sense, chat? Or did you have other perceptions? You had other visions for this. Goose going to Goose, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. That's a tremendous. I'm a big fan of geese. Geese are the greatest, worst animal. Anyway, that is, I'm open to what you guys and gals and non-binary pals have on the brain in regards to what's coming up, but I feel like this is where we're going, right? Just like I think it's pretty clear that we're doing Willow versus Mercedes at Wembley, right? Right? That seems the path, right? Let's see. But yeah, I just realized the last time Moxley faced Kenny was when Don Callis turned on him in a steel cage. Yeah, it's been a while. That nice historical feud that they can pull up anytime. You know, you got the whole history there. It's all weighing down. There's something there. I think there's something really, really interesting in Mox versus Kenny at the pay-per-view at Redemption. I'm just wondering what Mox is going to do at All In. That to me is much less clear. That I don't have as much clarity on. I don't know as much. Wouldn't it be hilarious if he ended up being in the main event, but beating Kenny? Oh shit! Wait a second. Hang on a second. Wait. Wait a goddamn minute. I just light bulbed myself here. Have we considered Jon Moxley versus Will Ospreay for the championship? Have we considered this? Because it would make perfect sense. Mox fights Kenny at the Redemption, wins the world championship, and then goes into Wembley. Mox versus Ospreay. They've got the whole story there with the mentoring and the partnership and the friendship that's been playing right before our eyes. We've seen wrestlers with double titles in the past. AEW wouldn't have a concern, having two belts Mox walk around for a month. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. But I don't think they're going to do that, right? They got to stick to Kenny versus Will. They got to, right? This is going to probably move tickets. There's going to be people who are going to buy tickets just to see this match. I would be one of those. I would absolutely be one of those people who are like, this is probably the last time that Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay are ever going to fight. So yes. Nah, they can't do that. But you see, you have to consider it. You have to consider it because the world title situation in AEW has been so volatile and unpredictable and organic and stuff happening. You can't just hand wave it, right? You can't just go poo. No, impossible. No, you can't. Holy shit. I hadn't thought of that. That literally just popped up as I was talking. I had not thought of the possibility of Jon Moxley beating Kenny Omega and then fighting Will at Wembley, and then that you have that whole story there to support it. Look, hey, oi, we're not out of the woods yet, folks, apparently. The path to Wembley might not be still as clear as it seems. But look, from a business point of view, ticket sales, I don't think they're going to go with Mox. I love Mox. He's he's in my top 3 wrestler of the year box. Mox is in my box. I shouldn't have said that. But he's definitely one of my top 3 wrestlers of the year. I love Jon Moxley. But it wouldn't make sense. I think Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay is the better drawing match. You have to do that, right? I might be pipe dreaming here, But I'll be damned if, as far as the continuity of this promotion this year around its world title, I'll be damned if it doesn't make sense that Kenny could drop the title at Redemption against Jon Moxley, because the Jon Moxley story with Will makes perfect sense too. Holy cow! Holy moly! I just got myself all fired up. But it's probably not going to happen, so I shouldn't fire myself up. I was thinking about who gets Kevin Knight at Redemption. Is it Speedball or is it Darby? I think Darby and Kevin Knight are going to have a match at Redemption, and they're probably going to have a gimmick match at Wembley Stadium. That would be my guess. I don't think we do Speedball just yet. In fact, you know what? I think the smart thing would be to burn Kevin Knight and Speedball in Montreal. I mean, I know they've already done it on TV, but you know, you get bigger stage and whatnot. The Montreal crowd will eat Speedball up and will hate Kevin Knight so bad. Will it go to beat Mercedes again? I bet she does. Then Mercedes will get the AEW women's title finally. I think so too. You know, this idea that that Mercedes just has Willow's number is also great. You know, I know Willow ended up beating Mercedes, right? But Mercedes was already on a downturn. Mentally, she was broken, right? I like this idea of two wrestlers across their career, just like one of them just has the other wrestler's number too. I think that's a lot of fun. That would be good. People still have PTSD over Mox's last title reign, as interesting as that might be. And get over themselves. They just have to get over themselves. After Edge, it ruled. Post Edge, it was great. Well, in fact, the bat in the back match, that was great. And then moving on from that point on was tremendous. I'd like a Quebecois announcer with Justin Roberts for Redemption. Sure. You could hire me. Don't hire me. If anything, Mox will beat Ospreay after he wins at All In, but I also really think Swerve will be the one to dethrone Ospreay. Could be. That's a good call. Big Man Dogs, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Mox plastic bags Kenny, and that causes the split between him and Ospreay. Sure, that's actually really good. And Bryan Danielson comes out of retirement to help Ospreay. Hey, what if Danielson comes out of retirement to fight Mox at the Wembley, and Mox puts him down for good? No happy ending for the American Dragon. AEW1, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, Travis, who also happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. I didn't know, Warren, they kind of blew up their main event spot for Redemption, at least for the men's world title goes. I don't know, maybe. I mean, I'm still sticking with the conventional logic. But you gotta admit, Mox winning the title at Redemption would be such a fucking ballsy move. I think Willow wins the belt at Redemption and retains at All In. You think she retains? Okay. Interesting. Willow will get the TBS title back from Shida, and then at some point she will be AEW Women's Champion as well. I'm going to be deathly serious about this. I hope Willow Nightingale stays as far away from the TBS title for as long as possible. And if she goes back, it's because we really have nothing else for her to do. Let that shit behind. Elevate her. Put her in the orbit of the world title. That's where the better wrestlers are, regardless. No, leave Sheeta behind. Leave everyone else behind. Willow is not a mid-card act. She's a top woman for this company. She should be wrestling for the top prizes and wrestling the Menés, wrestling the Teklas, wrestling the Tony Storms. That's what she should be doing, not scumming it on the mid-card, trying to take the TBS title off of fucking Hikaru Shida. How about that? Can't see it happening, but I'd shit my goose if Mox and Danielson had a match at All In. No, I know it's probably not going to happen. Oh, you're going to be there too? That's tremendous. I kind of hope it happens now. Kind of hope it happens. I want Jay White versus Mox because Jay cut that promo on him. Hey, let's not forget Jay White. You are correct. Where was Jay White this week? Well, I mean, it was a pretty tight show nonetheless. But no, you're right with the Jay White stuff. I mean, look, they want to do something with Dave Finlay. They want to do something with Dave Finlay because Jay wants to get his buddy over. That's what Jay wants to do. Jay knows he's over with the AEW crowd, and now he's going to try and help his pal get over with the AEW crowd because they are legit super close buddies in real life. So Jay's going to do that. He's probably going to win the feud though, and then he moves on to something else. So is this going to drag Jay right into All In, or is it going to be like a pit stop, fight the dogs in Montreal, and then in Wembley we do something else, or is this going to be just a little bit of a nice extended feud into Wembley? They'll have time to build it. There'll probably be some good fire to it. I wouldn't be against it. And then, All Out the fall, you got Jay White mixing it up with Mox. Or maybe Jay White just like tears through the Continental Classic this year. That's also something to consider. Anyway. Taking the belt off Tekla will be bad. If Tekla isn't on the All In card, should be a crime. I wouldn't be, let me put it to you this way. I wouldn't be surprised if Tekla goes and hangs out in Japan a little more over the next few. I wouldn't be surprised. She's got that feud with Starlight Kid, all waiting for her. I would even argue that they might make this an apuestas match. That would, which would be a tremendous idea. And Tekla would not be above shaving her head. Just saying. And that's the kind of thing you pay off in Stardom. Because I think the Starlight Kid Stardom feud, all of this stuff with President Okada and so on, it resonates more in Japan than it does in the United States. I think. Anyway. So there we go. That was some thoughts on the those were some thoughts on the back the back end, the fallout. That's what I was looking for. The fallout of last night's beach break. And if you want my full thoughts, things that we didn't cover and whatnot, AEW Dynamite review here on the channel, on your favorite podcast application. And look, for those of you who weren't here when I started talking about it, it is one of the best reviews I have ever done. I am extremely proud of it. It's a great listen. I already do, in my opinion, the best, most in-depth weekly AEW Dynamite review out there, written or recorded. Either way, I feel like I do the best. So this was just even better. You should check it out when you have a chance. Oh boy, folks, it is time to preview the G1 Classic. That's the kind of thing. If a New Japan fan heard what I just said right here, they'd be very angry at me. Folks, let us preview the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 36, which is beginning this weekend, July 11, in the United States of America at the Now Center, right? It's the Now Center, right? In the shadow of Chicago, Illinois. Look, I've got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna preview this nice and proper. As long as I can get my notes together here. What is going on? What is going on here? Okay, I got it all set up here. So this is so this weekend is the second G1 that is opening outside of Japan. Happened in Dallas in 2019. And this tournament, of course, is going to go through most of the summer. It's going to end on August 16 at the old Ryogoku Sumo Hall. And of course, the big prize for the winner of the G1 is going to be a title shot, an IWGP Heavyweight Championship title shot at Wrestle Kingdom 21 in January 2027. And for those of you who are not familiar with the G1, because I am not assuming that everyone is, it is a round robin tournament, 2 blocks of wrestlers, 20 wrestlers total, so 10 wrestlers per block. Top 2 from each block advance, 2 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, of course, 0 points for a loss. And there are 30-minute time limits on each of these matches. And however, not for the semifinals or the finals, at least traditionally, those are no time limits. We must have a winner. So it's been years since we've had a truly kick-ass G1. That's pretty much it. Last year's tournament ended with Konosuke Takeshita beating Evil in the final. It was a finish that a lot of people thought was underwhelming relative to the semis, where Takeshita had to get through Zack Sabre Jr. and Evil got past Tsuji. Takeshita is back this year to defend that again, and opening night, he's fighting the guy who took the title off of him at Wrestle Kingdom. So it's been a while since we've had a truly kick-ass tournament, and there's been multiple reasons for that. For many years, it was New Japan's insistence on sticking with the old guard and keeping their star alive instead of trying to create new stars from the young crop of guys that were on the come up. That was the main issue, and last year was truly the first year where they truly got confronted with the fact that, hey, you know what? All our stars are gone. We've got Tanahashi that was still around last year on his his final run, but Tanahashi, man, broken down, was still able to get out some good performances. Don't get me wrong, but not the guy that he used to be. So not even someone that you can lean on. Tetsuya Naito was he gone at that point? He was gone at that point. Tetsuya Naito was gone, and of course, the very well documented departures of Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada, which created a lot of resentment. Last year was a tournament that where everyone was expecting the young guys to really step up, and New Japan had painted themselves into a corner where they're like, well, we have to build some new guys. We have to create some new stars. The time is now. We could have done it while we still had a lot of these top guys around, but the top guys are gone now. So now we have to create new top guys as soon as possible. And we're still in this warp zone where we don't really have a crop of top guys. We don't have. Look, Yota Tsuji is clearly the dude that has been anointed, and that the booking committee in New Japan, the championship committee, has earmarked as the early top guy from the crop of young guys that were coming up, just a few years ago. We immediately went to Yota Tsuji, and I think overall he has been a solid pick to be a top guy, to main event wrestle. Well, he didn't main event Wrestle Kingdom because, to wrestle for the IWGP heavyweight championship, and then take control of the company and establish himself as a leader, as a locker room leader, and bringing the old belt back, getting rid of the world title. They clearly put a lot of faith into him, and he's constantly defending New Japan on social media, much to the chagrin of AEW fans who, seem to think that this is all serious and this is not just a guy working. He's really been anointed as a guy. They tried with Shota Umino to mixed success, but I feel like Shota is on the come up. I feel like there's a lot of holes in his game that he's been plugging up, and New Japan has never lost interest in Shota Umino, even when he lost his hair match, and this was supposed to be a humiliation ritual, to sort of make him want it more and whatnot. They were still pushing him. They were still making sure that he looked good, that he was protected and whatnot. So, that's where we got with him. But there's still no group of guys that are just runaway madmen in this company that you can hang your hat on and say these people are truly defining what New Japan is, how great New Japan is, what it can be. They're good wrestlers. But man, when G1 season comes around, you don't want the good wrestlers. You want excellent wrestlers. You want the cream of the crop of worldwide wrestling. That's why a lot of us pine for the days of the mid 2010s, in fact, pretty much throughout, where just everyone was excellent all the time. So we're back to this situation again this year where we're like, okay, well, it's time once again for everyone to step up. And this has been the story. This has been a story that I've been carrying for years at this point. I didn't do the G1 daily coverage last year, but I watched it nonetheless. And it was the same story in my brain where I'm like, okay, why aren't all of these young guys who basically have the field completely open, why aren't they tearing it apart? Why are they playing so safe? Why are they having struggles creating crowd connections throughout this tournament? I don't understand why. And it makes you wonder. It's like, well, are they being told not to do it? Do they just not have the fire? What's missing? So we're back again this year, again wondering who's going to step up. Who are the people that are going to matter for the company? Who's going to redefine or bring back the G1 to its old glories and whatnot? It might never go back to its old glory. This also could be what New Japan is now moving forward. A bunch of talented guys, but who never reach that next level, that next gear that just anoints them as truly an incredible class of professional wrestlers. It could be that this might be it. And in a lot of ways, I'm at that breaking point where I cannot sit around another G1 saying, well, this is the year, when it should have been the year years ago, but I can't do it anymore. This year, I really do have to see something. I really have to see stuff happening bell to bell that fills up my match of the year candidate list. I'm like, holy shit, there's just too much great stuff happening every night. I want to do my daily coverage and just be hoarse by night 8 because I'm screaming into the microphone every night, every night talking about how great every match was, or at least, most matches are. That's what I'm hoping for. Is it going to be good? That's the whole question. I don't know. I don't feel confident enough in saying yes or no. I'm just not confident enough. Anyway, we talked about Tanahashi. This is a real break from Tanahashi from last year, right? Hiroshi Tanahashi wrestled his final G1 last year, was his 23rd. So he's not in the field. Of course, he's the president right now. Goto is the only guy from that era who's still around. 46 years old, his first G1. No, he debuted in 2003, right? And he's now the last, like I said, classic era vet, still standing in the tournament. And New Japan is, they're not hiding the fact. At the press conference that they had just yesterday, Goto said it himself. He's become the oldest entrant in the G1, and he intends to use the frustration from an injury hit last year to fuel him. Because he was injured last year, wasn't able to participate, breaking his streak. So that's what he needs to do, right? Last year, you had a bunch of stuff. You had Tanahashi's Last Dance. You had Umino and Tsuji and whatnot, and it really did read like New Japan was being forced into pushing the new guys out of circumstance, but they didn't feel quite confident in there as well, right? But they decided to max as much as possible over since the G1 last year on Yota Tsuji, made him the G1, made it to the G1 Final Four. Like I said, lost the semifinal to Evil, got 10 points in the A block, but he nonetheless went to Wrestle Kingdom and took the title off Konosuke Takeshita, and he's very identifiable with that, right? So, and he's currently champion as well. So he's opening the tournament in a rematch with Takeshita, who I think New Japan had put a lot of hopes into last year that he would get over, but his booking was really really odd. And the audience sort of ended up turning on him as opposed to embracing him as a babyface, which was very strange. And it was very strange. And you could tell that there was an uneasiness, and Takeshita never really recovered. As good as he is, he never fully recovered. And I think there's also part of the problem is that he never fully felt like a New Japan guy. And a lot of New Japan fans are very, very territorial these days about, the hardcores are. They're very territorial about, who's being pushed and at what level and who's being featured and whatnot. So him being an outside factor, despite being contracted, I think most people saw him as an AEW guy, more so than a DDT guy, and much more so than a New Japan guy, I would say. I think they had pinned a lot of hopes on Takeshita, and they just didn't work out. They just didn't work out. That's right. Evil did get cheered in the G1 final. That's how it was. Uemura and Oiwa, again, two guys that are often associated with this crop of young guys. Both are in the field again. Both remain in a kind of a holding pattern nonetheless. They've been in a holding pattern relative to Tsuji and Umino, right? Umino recently, forgot to mention, recently won the global heavyweight championship, and then just recently lost it to Gabe Kidd just a few days ago. So he's still, he's absolutely in the mix. And Uemura, let's go back to Uemura. He made the G1 35 quarterfinals, ended with 10 points, was a loaded A block, and he had a steady stream of tags and singles throughout 2026. Quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup, regular presence on undercards, but again, not a guy that they're putting much shine on. Hasn't broken through and had this signature singles run that some of his other contemporaries have. Oiwa, still aligned with TMDK, had to win a play-in match against El Fantasmo to get into to get into the field at all. Listeners, regular listeners will know that I am extremely bullish on Ryohei Oiwa. I think he's tremendous. He is one of the best assets that they have. I don't know how they don't see how great he is, how much he connects with the audience, or how he goes to connect with the audience. Talented. Anyway, in the theory that I have, or not the theory, but the thesis that I have, that this new generation hasn't fully arrived, quote unquote, yet. Well, these are two guys here that prove my point, Umera and Oiwa, and two guys that you would think would be much more featured. Right? And there's Ren Narita in the whole mess as well, but Narita, he's given up. That's what it is. Like, he's the head of the House of Torture. He's head of the nonsense. He's in the tournament this year to be the night off on his block. Jake Lee's taking care of that in the other. Even the wrestling nerd framing that he's he's turned heel and it worked out for him considering the alternative. His career is going nowhere. He's done. Like, this is it. He's in too deep now. He's the leader of the House of Torture. They spent the better part of the first half of the year here, ever since Evil left, to establish him as the leader. Doing the interference and cheating stuff, and whatnot. Whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to say, what it is. Look, the through line is this: whatever future New Japan has building toward with Narita, as a Shibata style ace, that's done. That's been buried for years. Narita's a non-factor. Narita is just nothing. He's in there for heat, and he will continue getting pushes because this is a promotion that loves its heat. It loves the heat. So they're going to continue to give Narita spots and push him because of the heat. Hey, let's watch some wrestling. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. It's been a while. But then, on top of these guys that we always bring back, that were part of like the Reiwa 3+1, in Oiwa's case, you've got Yuto Ice now, who's stepped up, right? Back from his excursion in 2025, came in and came back with a tag partner, Oscar. As the Knockout Brothers became IWGP Tag Team Champions, and he's been positioned, as one of the most important new pieces on the New Japan checkerboard, if only because he's got an energy, he's got a life to him that a lot of these other guys don't, that are very stoic, very stoic is the word, right? Stately. He, au contraire, has like fire. That's one of the things that I think helps him stand out more than other of his contemporaries. It's just because he's got something that just lights people up. It's just as simple as that. This is his first G1 Climax. He had to win a play-in match against Taichi to get here. And, he's ready to go. He was calling out Takagi and Tsuji and Sonata during the G1, and he'll be talking about how red hot this G1 is, and so on and so forth. So he'll probably be a very interesting part of the tournament. I'm kind of excited to see how it all fits in here. But he's one of these new guys, like outside of Suji, who has been given prominence in a spot on these cards that is actually part of something interesting. You know? So again, maybe this year will be the year. When I say again, it's like it's the question I ask every year. Maybe this will be the year that the guys are going to get into it. And maybe this will be the year where the booking doesn't stink. Because that's another factor that is outside of the control of the guys that are in the tournament. You know, the G135's final tournament ended with Takeshita over Evil. Evil was in the main event. And that was a very flat match, especially when you compare it to the semifinals, which were great. Shota Umino has had 19 previous title shots before finally winning his first championship in June. The hell? Like, that's a guy, right? It depends how you read. You can read this two ways. It's either a slow burn or you know, just trying to make someone really, really hard. It depends on how you want to look at it. But the booking has been so bad. It's really been bad in New Japan. I hope they made good, exciting choices, and I hope every night Gedo tells them, go steal the show. Every match that goes out, I hope he says, go steal the show. Every time. Because the one thing that we always have to keep in mind, in the glory days of the G1, there was a nice, friendly, or sometimes not so friendly competition between the guys. They'd all watch each other's matches. They'd be all behind the curtain watching the match. And the next guys that would come out, let's say following, I don't know, Ishii versus Shibata, whoever would come out after, be like, yeah, we got to top these guys. It was always, there was this level of competition where it's like, we got to do better than the next guys. We got to do better than the next guys. So that's why you'd end your G1s during that era and you're like, holy fuck. This is just like, this is awesome. What a great series of matches. And for years it hasn't been that. And I can't tell you why. Cannot tell you why. Anyway. Let's run through the blocks real quick of who is who in which block. And this is an old graphic here because obviously it was the first graphic that was released when the field was announced. So there's 2 spots missing on both sides. They've been filled now, but we'll get to that. Hiroki Goto, of course, as we mentioned for Block A. If we start with Block A, let's start with Block A. Hiroki Goto, his 18th G1 this year. He, of course, famously won the G1 in 2008. His rookie year miracle run over Nakamura and Togi Makabe. 5-time World Tag League winner. 3-time New Japan Cup winner. Ran an unbroken streak of appearances from his 2008 debut through 2024. And it was confirmed as his 14th consecutive G1 back in 2021. And he was still in the field for 33 and 34 before missing 35 with an elbow injury. So no one else in the tournament is within a decade of him. Konosuke Takeshita is coming in. This is his 3rd tournament. Of course, he was the winner last year, beating Evil in the final. Defending G1 champion walking into this one. Yota Tsuji is at his 4th G1. Made the last year's semifinals, losing to Evil. Got 10 points on the board. Now he's currently the reigning IWGP heavyweight champion. Sanada is in with his 11th G1 appearance. Very consistent in the mid-pack. That's usually where he falls, except that one year where he beat all of the young guys in his bracket. He got 8 points last year. No G1 win yet. Well, he didn't win the G1. He won his block is what I meant to say. because he was already champion, but he's never won a G1. And I don't think he's going to be winning this year either. Boltin Oleg is at his third G1, finished with 8 points last year, graduated from the Young Lion status during his G1 debut. And he's the current the current strong open weight champion. I don't even think that matters. Shingo Takagi is at his 8th G1 appearance. Perennial upper mid finisher. Multi-time former IWGP Never champion. Has not won a G1 yet. And I don't think it's going to happen this year either. Jake Lee is at his 2nd G1. He was signed to New Japan in full-time in 2024. Right? Yeah, 2024. He joined the War Dogs at that time. He was in the G134 as an outside competitor coming in from All Japan, I believe, on loan from All Japan. And yeah, and he stinks and he's terrible and I can't stand the guy. But he's going to be the night off, right? Like Jake Lee is not coming in here to win. He's coming in here to take L's. And he's going to be doing goofy shenanigans. He's the night off. He's the Yano match for Block A. Great Okan, 6th G1 overall. Again, another consistent mid-pack finisher. I find that Great Okan no longer cares about wrestling. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand what he doesn't have the flame anymore. I feel like he's mailing it in. It'll be what it is. One half of the current IWGP tag team champions as well. Talked about Judo Ice. He's also in A block. He made his way in. He's one of the faces that's missing on the field that's on screen right now. Fresh off of excursion. Current fresh-ish. We just talked about him. Don't need necessarily to repeat it. It is his first G1. And Ryohei Oiwa is also in Block A, having won his play-in match as well. Finished his first G1 last year with 8 points. So hopefully he'll do a lot better this year. This is a very, very fun block. I am very excited for most of these matches here. That'll be a lot of fun. I think it's the superior block to Block B. Speaking of which, Zack Sabre Jr. is in Block B. This is his 10th. Won the G1 34 the year before last. Finished the 35 atop the block standings with 14 points, but was eliminated in the semifinal by Takeshita. Shota Umino is in his 4th G1 tournament. 12 points in the G1 35, eliminated in the quarterfinals by Yota Tsuji. And like we mentioned, just fresh off of a global heavyweight championship reign that ended when Gabe Kidd defeated him. Shota Umino should be your favorite to win the tournament because I think him losing the global title is a huge tell. Callum Newman is in his 3rd tournament this year, won the 2026 New Japan Cup. Was also IWGP just plain old heavyweight champion earlier this year. And, we'll probably have a very good G1. I would bank on him making it to the playoffs, but I don't think he'll make it to, I don't think he'll be making it to the finals. Besides, they have a big match with Will Ospreay for him lined up later this year. Yuya Uemura, 3rd appearance in the G1. 10 points was his final total in the G1 35. We talked about him. We're still looking for his defining singles moment. Ren Narita is at his 4th tournament. 10 points last year. He's probably going to finish again very high. I am hoping that New Japan doesn't go the route of let's book him for heat and then puts him in the semifinals. That would be a disaster. Drilla Maloney's at his 2nd. His 2nd tournament. It was his rookie tournament last year. Finished with 8 points. I would expect good things out of Drilla. I don't think, I think he might have a nice mid-pack finish as well, but looking good. Things are looking up for the Drilla Maloney. And Gabe Kidd's coming in. Technically, this is going to be his fourth, though he had to be, he had to exit the tournament last year because of injury. So technically, technically it's his fourth. Currently IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion. And then we also have Henare in this tournament. He debuted in the G1 32, which was in 2022, and missed last year's missed last year's because of injury. And he is one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions alongside Great-O-Khan. And then we have two debutees this year, one being Oscar, the other half of the Knockout Brothers, won his play-in match against Yujiro Takahashi, and Aaron Wolf. This is going to be very, very interesting to have Aaron Wolf in the tournament this year. First time in, recent never open weight champion. It'll be very, very interesting to see how he fares against most of the people in this tournament, both like actually to see what he's capable of doing, but also to see how much New Japan is going to value him. And that's important to point out. We're going to see exactly where Aaron Wolf falls in the booking schemes of the next year, entirely based on this performance. If he does really good, then Aaron Wolf is probably going to be aligned for some higher level stuff. We'll see or are they going to treat him like they do most first timers? And it's just, well, you're going to lose matches, buddy. You're going to lose the match a bunch. I mean, look, you want to get my blood pumping? You want to make me excited for something? Have Aaron Wolf just come in and start destroying guys. Have him come in and start winning matches decisively, putting on these beast short matches, and and you will have captivated my attention. And look, tons of first time matches, right? But look, we'll get to that in a second. But like, it's just wall to wall first time matches with Aaron Wolf. Anyway, so those are the fields. Warren, what are you looking forward to as far as certain matches go on this during this tournament? I got a couple that I've circled that are on the calendar where I'm like, I'm excited to see this. Night 3, Aaron Wolf versus Shota Umino. This is going to be the litmus test of what I just said, of how New Japan is going to treat Aaron Wolf moving forward. If New Japan, because Umino is still a golden guy in the company, and he's probably going to be positioned very, very strongly in the tournament. If Umino gets the win over Aaron Wolf, then you will immediately understand where Wolf is in the pecking order. But if Wolf gets the win, now things get a little more interesting. I'm very much looking forward to this match. I think it might be a stiff one on top of that. Yota Tsuji and Shingo Takagi on night 6, just because it's going to be a banger. Why wouldn't you? Who doesn't like a banger? I don't know who doesn't like a good old banger, right? And then let's see. Shota Umino versus Yuya Uemura on night 7 on July 26th. So that also is going to be very telling. You know, they've established the idea that these two have, you know, they're friends, they're allies, bit of a rivalry at the same time. This is the story between the two, you know, tag team champions and whatnot. Again, just one of these things where I'm going to be like, you know, it'll be nice to see where they both fall fighting each other, right? Hiroki Goto versus Konosuke Takeshita in night 10. is something that potentially could be one of the best fucking matches of the tournament. I'm very stoked for that one because Hiroki Goto, like we said, he's of the old generation and one of these vets that understands the role of the G1 and when it's time to pick it up and when it's time to really go. And Takeshita also understands that mandate. So both of these guys going at it, understanding the mandate of the G1, this could be brilliant, actually. It could be a sneaky great match. Shota Umino versus Gabe Kidd. They're going to go at it again, and there's going to be the extra anger facing because of Gabe Kidd beating Umino. And they have good chemistry. They work well together. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to Shingo versus Yuto Ice on August 9. Shingo Takagi beating the piss out of this guy. Could be a lot of fun. And I didn't write down on what night it's on as well, but Shingo versus Ryohei Oiwa should be a blast. And I'm really hoping this is a defining match for Oiwa. We got to stop pussyfooting around with this kid. He's too good. He's too good. So those are the ones that I've circled. There's a lot of very good potential matches, but these are the ones that I'm mostly excited for. That have got my blood pumping, where I'm really looking forward to it. And as far as first time matches in this tournament, well, like we said, Aaron Wolf, first time matches, singles matches across the board in his block with everyone. So that'll be very interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how he composes with all of this. He's only Ren Narita, right? Narita's the only guy that he's fought multiple times. Everyone else is all going to be new. I'm excited to see him versus Zack Sabre Jr. That should rock. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen there. I'm going to be very excited to see him. Like we said, Shota Umino, I actually circled that match. Very excited, particularly in the result. Gabe Kidd should be a lot of fun. Henare should be a blast. There's a lot of very interesting matchups there with Aaron Wolf. And I think then after that, there's not many first time matches, but I think Takeshita might have a few. Has he ever fought Boltin Oleg? I wasn't quite sure. Boltin Oleg and Ryohei Oiwa. No, they're not. Excuse me. But I think Takeshita. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place here. There might still be a couple here, but I think it's not as clear here. And maybe there's first time matches with Jake Lee, and that really I really don't care. One last wish that I have for the G1 as we wrap up this preview here. I hope that Gedo doesn't book one of the two blocks to be like this blob of like 6 to 8 points throughout most of the tournament, where there's like 6 guys that all have like between 6 and 8 points, just like he did with the Best of Super Juniors just recently with one of the two blocks. I think it was B block, and like he did with one of the blocks last year as well. I think it's much more compelling to have at least one guy, maybe two, just like start off really strong and become the people that you have to catch up to beat, as opposed to having an amorphous blob of 6 guys in the tournament tied until the very end. I don't think that makes for interesting viewing. I think what makes for interesting viewing in these types of tournaments is some back and forth, a guy, starting off strong, then slowing down, then maybe, having a comeback, one guy coming out of nowhere, the Naito run, that kind of stuff. I think that's interesting. A big blob of guys with the same score or within reach of each other for 4 to 5 weeks. Yuck, hack. I don't like that. It's not exciting. It's not interesting. It's actually kind of frustrating. I don't care if we get to week 6 and there's already guys that we have to eliminate from the block because there's 2-3 guys who are already at the top with running away with huge scores, and one guy just couldn't keep up and was left behind early on. I don't care. That's actually interesting. That's actually interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. Forward to having some interesting blocks is what I tried to say there. Excuse me. And like I said, it all starts this weekend, this Saturday, July 11, Now Arena. Let's run down the card very quickly. Konosuke Takeshita will be taking on Yota Tsuji. We already mentioned that. Rematch of the final of their semifinal last year in the no, it wasn't their semifinal. The rematch of their Wrestle Kingdom match. Okay, I'm losing my brain here. Rematch of the Wrestle Kingdom match this year. So expect good things. This should be a lot of fun. Bolton Oleg versus Ryohei Oiwa. Yuya Umera versus Callum Newman. Hiroki Goto versus Sanada. Shota Umino versus Zack Sabre Jr. Yuto Ice versus Great Okan. And Oscar versus Red Narita. Getting rid of that on night 1. Jesus fucking Christ, this match. Shingo Takagi versus Jake Lee. That's a shame that we're doing this on American soil. Takagi, all we could do with them is put him up against this fucking goofball. And Aaron Wolf versus Sanari on night 1. Let's fucking go. Couple of people missing on the card, including Gabe Kidd, who still has visa issues, so he'll be having his first matches when everyone returns to Japan next week. So that is your preview of the G1 Climax 36 this year. Hope you're all around here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, ready for some G1 daily coverage. Starts this weekend and every day moving forward right up until the finals on August 16th. I'll be there. Unless they completely lose me, I will be there the entire way. All right, few quick hits before we hit the bricks. We got some contract news, folks. Oh, we love the contract news. We love the contract news. TNA has re-signed a couple of people. Yes, they do have money to re-sign people. Rich Swann is remaining in TNA Wrestling for the foreseeable future. We are reading an article off the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer here. On Wednesday, July 8th, the Daily Star reported that Swann had re-signed with the company. Okay. Swann told the outlet, "Ladies and gentlemen, your boy, Mr. All Night Long, Rich Swann, has re-signed with Total Nonstop Action, baby. Yes, indeedy." Hell of a quote. "I really believe in this company and I feel great. We're killing it every Thursday." Well, you're killing something. You're killing interest. That's what you're killing. Every Thursday night on AMC and TNA Plus. "I've been a part of TNA since 2018, and to have this freaking spot, it just feels awesome." There you go. Good for him. I mean, that's perfect landing spot for Rich Swann in 2026. I have no issues with that. Saw him in Produce a couple of days ago. Thought he was Fred Rosser, for what it's worth. Another re-signing by TNA. Who could it be? Daria Ray, the SWAT, FKA Sonya Deville. Yeah, we got to put down the money to hang on to our authority figures. The news was first reported on Thursday by Fightful. TNA later posted a press release writing, "TNA Wrestling Director of Operations Daria Ray has re-signed with the company." It's kayfabe. Don't put that in your press releases. It sounds more official than it is. She's not a real executive in your company. It was confirmed today as first reported by Fightful. The charismatic authority figure, Daria, is a part of the TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC and AMC Plus, Sportsnet 360, and TNA Plus. Since making a surprise debut on the premiere episode of TNA Thursday Night Impact on AMC, Daria has shaken things up in TNA, going head-to-head with TNA's Director of Authority, Santino Marella. That is a depressing line. Yeah. So there you go. So she's, I mean, okay. What a weird company this is. Like, you know, clearly a company that is not flush for cash, that have been not re-signing people because of the multiple reasons, but including monetary reasons, right? They've been cutting people because, one would assume that the AMC deal is not as lucrative as people thought it would be. Maybe they didn't even expect it to be that not lucrative. And yet they're going to hang on to a talent that's not even a wrestler, that is an authority figure that's being brought on to just be an authority figure while they already have one on top of that. Even in their rehirings, TNA can't help TNAing it up. It's crazy to me. And I want to point out one other thing. The SUAT thing, S-U-A-T, we all know what we're talking about, right? Her t-shirt, when she came out, that was written on night one, it was written, "Shut up, I'm talking," and was acronym to SUIT, S-U-I-T. But her t-shirt design, because she was supposed to be called the Suit, right? The suit first, shut up, I'm talking. But the t-shirt was designed so that her silhouette would be in place of the eye. So, that's how she'd sell her t-shirts. It wouldn't just be written Suit. Like the eye would be her silhouette. It would be the Daria Ray, Sonya Deville silhouette. But the way she's posing in the silhouette, she looks like an A. Her legs spread apart a bit and whatnot. She looks like an A. So people like myself started calling her the SUAT. And I just want to point out, I am an OG calling her the SUAT. When we did the watch along for the first episode of TNA Impact on AMC, we were calling that out. We were making fun of it, calling her the SUAT, because her t-shirt didn't make sense, because it's a poor design, because you're supposed to read Suit, but she looks like an A, so it looks like SUAT. I was here on stream live calling it out, making fun of it before everyone else did. Just want to point out that I'm an originator. AEW contract news. Queen Aminata's contract apparently is being extended due to injury. Another article off of the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. In a recent vlog uploaded on social media, Queen Aminata opened up and revealed her AEW contract expiry date. While the 33-year-old revealed her original expiry date, she also added that it was extended due to her injury. Here's the quote. "I signed with AEW 3 years ago, almost 3 years. I'm almost at the end of my contract, which is next February, plus injury time. I don't know how long that's going to be." Last year, Queen Aminata was sidelined from in-ring action with a neck injury. She was sidelined in November 2025 to April 2026. Following her return earlier this year, she has actively wrestled across Ring of Honor and AEW Dynamite. As many of you know, we enjoyed the Queen Aminata quite a bit here on the Mr. Warren Hayes show. I'm a big fan. I don't understand why she is not pushed harder. I think Queen Aminata, look, the thing with Queen Aminata is if you've never seen her wrestle on the indies, particularly back when she was wrestling in Deadlock Pro, you don't understand just how absolutely vicious and violent she can be. She tones it down for AEW for some reason, but I don't know why. And I wish they just unleash her and let her go. I don't know why she's not given any type of push. I don't know why she did not win the TBS title. To me, this would have been a much more interesting bet to try the title on a new commodity, have some fresh new matches there for the women's division for a championship with her as champion, right? Instead of going to boring old Hikaru Shida, who has nothing left to give. This would have been a much better pick. I like Queen Aminata's work a lot. And I wish they'd give her the opponents. I wish they'd give her the spots and the time to really like flex just how completely unhinged she can be. Very much looking forward to seeing what's next. Well, how this plays out, I should say, the contract and whatnot. Look, if I'm Tony, I re-sign her. And I know, like, she's 33. We haven't scratched the surface. Are the injuries a problem? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I mean, she was away for some significant injury time. And if it's a neck injury, well, those can be a bitch. But holy cow. I think there's more to what Aminata brings to the table than what we've seen. Let me say that again. Not only do I think, I know she can bring more to the table than what she's already bringing in AEW and Ring of Honor. Get her the fuck out of Ring of Honor. What are we doing? Jack Perry also has announced that he has officially signed his contract. They did the gimmick on, they did a pre-tape on fucking Dynamite with him sitting down with Tony Khan, talking about his history in AEW. Now he's going to be a world champion, and Luchasaurus being there, saying, I got to watch out for him. I got to protect him, and so on and so forth. After more than a month of speculation, one of the original 4 pillars of AEW will be sticking around the company for a while longer. Revealed on Wednesday's Beach Break edition of AEW Dynamite. This is an article written by Josh Nason over at the, shout out to Josh over there on the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. Revealed on Wednesday's Beach Break edition of AEW Dynamite, Jack Perry put pen to paper with Tony Khan in a video feature that aired late on the show where he talked about his goals and, among other things, how he needs to win the AEW World title. He didn't appear on the show in person. Perry's an AEW original, debuting on the first ever Double or Nothing in a casino battle royal, mainly a tag team wrestler with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt early on. He held the AEW World Tag Team titles before eventually moving on to singles action. He's held both the TNT and national titles in addition to the ceremonial FTW title. Josh. On Tuesday, I should say, Brian Alvarez reported Perry's deal was up very soon and still hadn't re-signed. Khan had said on the Forbidden Door media call that he hoped a deal would be finalized to keep Perry with the company for years to come. Perry's last action came in to defeat Zack Sabre Jr. on the June 24th Dynamite. In defeat. Did I say to defeat? In defeat to Zack Sabre Jr. on Dynamite. Look, AEW worked the media perfectly on this one. As people were like, oh, I don't know if he's resigning. Where was Jack Perry going to go? And I don't mean that. Look, I know there's a lot of people who really dislike Jack Perry. And I need to remind everyone, I am not one of these people. I'm iffy on his presentation sometimes and what they have him doing. Sometimes I think he's a little too cutesy for his own good. That type of stuff, the Jurassic Express bus and all this shit. It's like, yeah, I don't care for it much. That's not for me. Resurrecting Luchasaurus, not for me. But this is a guy that delivers in the ring, who I will never poo-poo a match. I'll never go, ugh, Jack Perry. No, I like Jack Perry's work. It's the presentation. It's the whole thing around him that sometimes it gets on my nerves. It's like, just go wrestle, God damn it, But so I don't mean this when I say, where else was he going to go? I don't mean this in a disparaging way. There's no fucking way TKO is picking this guy up. They're not even in NXT. And Jack Perry's not going to accept to go to Evolve. What the fuck are we doing here? Where's he going to go? And the thing is that the boss likes him. You know, Tony Khan loves Jack Perry. He's on his side. Where would he have gone to get the same? Like this was written in the stars that he was re-signing. I don't know why anyone had any kind of doubt as to whether or not he was going to re-sign. You had any doubt, you were getting worked. Which is fine because they did work the media on this one and they did a really good job because it created a situation where people were legitimately wondering where he was supposed to go. CMLL would have been not a bad landing place for him. The thing with Jack, though, I'm just saying, the thing with Jack is he can do, he can do a lot of things that resemble lucha libre. He can do a lot of high flying things and he's very good, but he's not a luchador. Like, he's not trained as a luchador. And I think a guy his size has to wrestle like a luchador, and he doesn't wrestle like a luchador. He wrestles like an American wrestler who does an American high flyer, which is great. Don't get me wrong. It would have just taken a lot of adaptation. CMLL would have probably welcomed him with open arms, and I'm sure he would have. I'm sure he would have been welcomed back into the thrall of the House of Torture as well. They would have just opened their arms back up but I mean, like, look, in all honesty, there was no way he was going anywhere else. That was like written in the stars. And if you had wrestling pundits going, I don't know, his deal is up, he hasn't resigned. You're like, okay, tranquilo. The Caveman and the Jackman in Arena Mexico. You know what? Here's the thing. Barbaro Cavernario has excellent matches with everyone. So yes, that's actually a match where I'm like, fuck, that would rock. That would legitimately be terrific. Barbaro Cavernario, extremely underrated, underappreciated pro wrestler, period. He is fucking tremendous. One of these guys where I'm like, if he's on the card, if he's on the mid card or whatever, I'm watching. I'm just like, this is good stuff. They should team up. No, they should fight forever. Don't have them team up. Have them fight each other forever. I think that would be a lot of fun. Hoping Queen Aminata doesn't leave. WWE wouldn't know what to do with her. I think by the time her contract comes up, she's going to be too old for WWE. I don't know if you've noticed, but WWE isn't necessarily signing older women unless you've worked for the company before, like the Bellas, like AJ Lee. And then again, what is their status right now? Yeah, AEW doesn't even know what to do with her, which is a travesty. Anyway, that's the contract news. One last little tidbit. How about a little update on the CMLL Grand Prix? It's going to be happening later this year. The fields, the teams, Team World and Team Mexico are starting to fill out. Let's read this article off of the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online. We have another AEW name that's been confirmed for the 2026 men's edition of CMLL's International Grand Prix. The Team World versus Team Mexico Cibernetico match is set to be held at Arena Mexico on Friday, August 7. Roderick Strong has been added. He is going to be joining Yujiro Takahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let me say that one more time. Yujiro Takahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Leon Cage from Rev Pro, alongside Pac from AEW, of course, Dookie from New Japan, and Austin Aries from Major League Wrestling. And there are still 5 open spots left on the team. Hechicero, Ultimo Guerrero, Mascara Dorada, Titan, Jalwa, and Volador Jr. have been announced for Team Mexico so far. And Team Mexico should, just with these guys, should run circles around Team World. Like straight off the bat. Exactly what I wanted to bring up, chat. You got the Tokyo Pimps and the most controversial man alive. They're gonna be on the same team. Oh my God. I cannot believe Yujiro Takahashi is going to be a member of Team World in the Grand Prix this year. Like, I understand that this is August 7. It's right in G1 season, right? So of course, the top guys are not being sent. I understand. But who else was left on the roster? Have you not sent Taichi? Jesus Christ. Why couldn't it not been Taichi? Why not Kosei Fujita? Any of the juniors, quite frankly. Yeah, Master Wato did do his excursion in Mexico. I mean, that would have been a perfect fit as well. Bloody hell. Look at this fucking goofball right here. Look at this guy. Oh my Lord. I'm not familiar with Leon Cage, other than I've been told that Pete Dunne has put him over. Apparently, Pete Dunne had a match at Attack Pro Wrestling against Leon Cage, and he put him over for what that's worth. I still like Pete Dunne. I can't, I understand. It's Pete Dunne. WWE did him so fucking dirty. That's going to be, anyway, one of the greatest wastes of talent of all time. And yes, you can argue that he brought it on himself. You can, absolutely. Becoming the NXT UK shill. Absolutely. I'm not trying to excuse him. Pardon what he did, but oh my God. Yeah, not the way. Anyway, so at least Roderick Strong is going to be in there. And, if he has a similar performance to Claudio, was it last year that Claudio won the Grand Prix? Was it last year or the year before? Because it's the same type of vibe, right? Rod Strong in this environment is terrific. This fucking rules. It rocks. Yujiro, not so much. Watch us all eat our fucking words watching this match, and suddenly Work Rate Yujiro shows up. And we're like, oh my God. And everyone's losing their minds that the Tokyo Pimps is like stealing the show. It's not going to happen. But it'd be funny as hell. Mystico did win it last year. That is correct. Yeah, you're right. It was 2 years ago that Claudio won it. Austin Aries came here to Thunder Bay a year ago and absolutely stole the promoter's money with a piss poor effort. Are we shocked? Travis, are we shocked? Quite frankly, I'd give a piss poor effort going up to Thunder Bay too. Hey-oh. It's a joke. It's a joke. If Yujiro Takahashi does a Rana, I will apologize. Hey, if Yujiro Takahashi works more than 3 minutes consecutively without being gassed, I will apologize. There you go. Just a little tidbit to send us off. I think we're done. I think we covered everything tonight. I emptied out the docket. There's nothing left. Even if I wanted to segue to another topic, there's nothing left. There's nothing left. Yujiro, exactly. You know what? He's going to stand outside the ring for 15 minutes, and when he gets tagged in, he's gonna he's gonna do a couple of kicks. He's gonna try to land pimp juice, and then fucking and then Hechicero is gonna wrap him up into a Yave lock, and he's gonna tap. That's how it's gonna go. That's exactly how it's gonna go. He's gonna spend most of the match on the floor, and then when he does come in, he's gonna land a couple of strikes. He's gonna try the pimp juice, and then he's gonna tap out to a move because he's not taking a bump. He's not taking a bump to take the 1, 2, 3. And he's gonna be like, oh yeah, the cool thing with submissions in Arena Mexico is that you get to tap out immediately. You don't struggle in Arena Mexico. It's like, yeah, I tap out immediately. He's super excited. He's super excited about flying all the way, getting paid, and having to put in even less effort than he does in Japan. Fun show tonight. This is a lot of fun. You know what I forgot? I forgot to mention. I watched Tiger Mask's last matches. I watched the whole thing with the whole ceremony. That was nice. That was very nice. I thought it was a solid send off for old Tiger Mask 4. I thought it was lovely. I thought Dynamite Kid was tremendous. God, he's such a he cosplays so hard. Like sometimes you just like, well, not cosplays, because cosplaying implies that he's not accurate. That he's putting on a show, but he's so fucking accurate to his uncle. I'm like, oh my god, dude, like lighten up a little bit, Afterwards, they took him back and shot him. No, I sent him to the glue factory. Is what they did. Yeah, and then Black Tiger, excuse me. Got Rocky Romero running in, and then unmasking at the end, to the surprise of no one. Chris Charlton going, put it back on. Oh God, put it back on. It was nice. It was a nice ceremony. It was a good send off for the man. And I'm sure Billington was really happy to be a part of it. It was a nice send off. So now the question is, when do they debut Dragon Dia as Tiger Mask 5? When are they dragging Dragon Dia out, getting rid of that dragon lineage to continue the old Tiger Mask lineage? Dragon Dia is Tiger Mask 5. Because we got the new Black Tiger in CMLL with Magnus now being the new Black Tiger. They didn't even wait for that retirement to happen. New Black Tiger fucking sucks. It's Magnus. Magnus was a good little tag team wrestler with Rugido. You know what's funny is that he was in a tag team. Magnus, the new Black Tiger, he was in a tag team in CMLL with a guy who wore a lion mask. The idea of Rugido was a lion. He was wearing a lion mask. So the guy with the lion mask doesn't even get the Black Tiger nod. It's the partner who gets it. Funny. Which would you choose, the steady work as Tiger Mask or as yourself? You mean as an unknown commodity or as Dragon Dia? Are we at, because if we're asking this question, let's say in the theory, as if we're positioning Dragon Dia in this spot. Dragon Dia was doing fine, and Dragon Dia was a known commodity, and he was actually part of an important Dragon Gate lineage, being the next of the dragons, right? So that was actually passed down to him. So the fact that he's abandoning that, or at least that's the rumor, right? That's what everyone is expecting. It's for Dragon Dia, who allegedly has been hired by New Japan and hasn't been debuted yet because they've been waiting to retire Tiger Mask so that they can make Dragon Dia the new Tiger Mask. He's abandoning one lineage that is respected, that is well known, that he could have carried without a problem. In this circumstance, I think it's a sideways upgrade. It's a sideways transition, because it's not an upgrade if it's sideways. It's a sideways transition, and to a degree, there's a level of disrespect that's being shined on his that's being shined on the dragon lineage. So I think he had a good shot. I don't necessarily think the Tiger Mask lineage is something that's going to necessarily help him or elevate him or make him a big immediate star. Because Tiger Masks 2 and 3 weren't exactly great, right? Chris Charlton even walked us through the history, Tiger Mask 2, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but Tiger Mask 2 didn't want to do it, was very uncomfortable, didn't want to do it, and Tiger Mask 3 was kind of ambivalent. That's why when they got to Tiger Mask 4 here, he was gung-ho, he was in on it, but it's not as if we're trying to protect this incredible lineage. You've got the original Tiger Mask, who is legendary, right? That's fine. And then Tiger Mask 4, who had an illustrious career. In the meantime, Tiger Mask 2 and 3 are busts. No one talks about them. So it's not as if we've got this huge lineage that we have to protect, and getting a great Tiger Mask 5 that immediately going to propel him to superstardom. You know what I mean? Yes, it comes with weight, it comes with lineage, and I understand that, but it's not like, oh, I absolutely have to dump the dragon lineage because this opportunity to be the next Tiger Mask is so huge type of thing. It's not that. It's not like being the next Mystico. No, I don't think we'll be a next Mystico, but you see what, if we were to, that's not necessarily a lineage you need to, that would be a lineage that you would have to protect, that you'd have to be very careful, and whoever would be the next Mystico would have tons of pressure and whatnot. But yeah, we're fantasizing here. There's not going to be another Mystico, but it's the closest example I could bring to try and express what I'm talking about. Warren Hayes is 65, so he's not an option. Hey, wait a second. I was not informed that he was 65. We need to have a conversation, Warren. Hang on. Let's stop pretend. Let's stop believing everything we see on the internet. But you can believe that I'm done. I'm done with this stream tonight. Thank you all, everyone, for showing up. Let's wrap it up for tonight. Fun stream, good stream. Hope you all appreciated it. Hope you had a good time. We will be back Monday for another stream. But in the meantime, this weekend, said it once, I'll say it a million times. The G1 daily coverage begins. It starts this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, get hyped. Here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube and on the podcast, starting. Will be exciting. Do check out also the AEW Dynamite review that I put out today. Again, I will pat myself on the back. I think it is one of the best AEW reviews I have done. Another more famous person would say this is championship audio that I put out. Go check it out when you have a chance. Am I excited for CMLL to announce Heath Slater for Team World next? Thank you very much for being here, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Have a good time. Hope you get G1 fever as well. And I will be back Monday. So in the meantime, just take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated. That's also very important. I'll see you next time.